Welcome to another exciting episode of the Business of Digital podcast, featuring your hosts, Matt Siltala and Dave Rohr. Hey guys, excited to have you join us on another Business of Digital podcast episode. As always, really grateful for this time that you invest in Dave and I believe we got Dave over there somewhere. We're going to wave at Dave virtually.
I'm here.
All right, my friend. Well, we were talking about this, but before we started recording, as we do, and I just thought, everybody listening, I just thought that it would be a good opportunity to do a quote-unquote State of the Union, and I don't really know if I like that title, but I thought it would be interesting to kind of give everybody a heads up as to like how things have been going on and just things that I've heard, things that Dave's heard from businesses, clients we've worked with, just businesses that we frequent, restaurants, things like that. The reason I had this thought to do this is because I was chatting with a couple local restaurant owners, places that I go to and frequent a lot in this area. And I was sharing with them some of the information from some of the other guys and just kind of like how things were and whatnot. And a lot of them told me the same thing. They're like, oh, that's really good to know. I'm glad that you told me that, because I was wondering if like I was doing something wrong. I was wondering if something, different was any things like that. And so also some interesting things that I've learned that these guys have been doing that have been continuing to drive business to their site, which again, like every state's different right now. There's some that like have been able to open up, and then there's some places that have been ordered to shut back down, and so you're always going to have to deal with those kind of things. But just wanted to give you guys like just things that I've heard and observed and things like that. And so I'll just jump into it, Dave, and just with the first ones, like just being the local restaurants, for example. Something interesting that I've found out from them is they've told me that there's really no rhyme or reason to when they're busy and when they're not busy. And I've been keeping for the last 3 months, if not longer, I've been keeping dedicated notes towards this one place, and every week it's different. Every single week, they will tell me something like, "Oh yeah, like we had really good, we have high hopes for things because." Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday were really strong. And then the next week, Monday and Tuesday were really strong, but the weekend and the rest of the week was flat. And again, I try to find out things like, well, has anything been done differently? And there are things that they've done on occasion that seem to help on the weekends. For example, and these things usually don't work as well, but it's kind of interesting during Corona virus time. It seems like they've been working better, but those mail-in flyer things that you get like in your inbox, your actual mailbox, and like the coupon packs or whatever.
Snail mail,
yes. But they've been signing up for those kind of things, and offering like 20% off, or if you're military, so much off, or veteran, whatever. And that seems to be driving a little bit of traffic that they can kind of, correlate to. But it's interesting that they're, at week after week, that there's not some sort of a pattern. And so I've gone and chatted with other business owners, restaurant owners, and they've pretty much told me the same thing. There's another local barbecue shop that just opened up a few months ago, again during all this, and so it's been interesting. And obviously, some of these, they've been building up a clientele during this, and so that's been tough too. They didn't have the legacy clientele, if you will. But they've told me the same thing, and even ones that have been around for years. Hey, the first half of this week was really strong. Second half was horrible. And then complete opposites for the next few weeks. And so, again, I don't know if that's similar to some of the stuff that you've heard, Dave, but I just thought it would be interesting for people to know. And, especially the local mom and pops, these are the guys that are struggling the most, and they're the ones that are trying to figure out, how to stay in business, and they're dancing between skeleton crews and paying rent and things like that. And so I don't know, and even more so on the other side of it, like I've heard from many friends, people that are in agencies and in certain industries like that are booming. There'll be a couple agency owner friends that I have that have talked about how like things have gone so well, and then other ones that are laying off people and struggling. And I think, Dave, you hit the nail on the head when you said what you said earlier. It's all about the clientele, or who it is, or you said something like that. But it's basically it's right. It's exactly right. It's the portfolio, if you will. It's who are these guys clients? Like, for example, there are certain industries that are absolutely booming right now. Things that have changed, like I think about the mortgage industry. Okay, if you want your house refinanced, if you want lending, things like that, these, and healthcare, obviously, anything healthcare related, a lot of these industries seem to be going really well. Whereas you can imagine if you are in certain industries like the tourism industry, um, especially with things continuing to be canceled or postponed or whatever, things like that being lessened, if you will. And so, I don't know, Dave, if you have any thoughts on that, or if you've seen anything different, but those are just some observations that I have up to now.
Yeah, a lot of my clients, not all of them, are B2B. So it's also interesting that, well, anytime I've been looking to see, how things are going, we're looking at rankings, we're looking at conversion points and stuff like that. But then it's also a question of how much of the traffic that usually goes to like the educational blog resources, white papers, and that kind of stuff. How much is that down?
Mm.
Week over week, month over month, year over year, or up, versus your service and product. Because it's one thing if people aren't looking for your product because they're now furloughed, so not as many people need it. Or maybe because people are furloughed, they do need you. Or, maybe you're a restaurant or a lawyer or, lawn service or something. Depending on your location and how the local business is, maybe people have more time, so they're spending more time.
More time is you just made me think of, like, for example, like those master classes. I've heard from so many people that have signed up and started doing like those master classes, whether it's how to do art or Lightroom or smoke a brisket better. So when you said that, it just made me think of like that industry. That side of it's probably been booming.
And I was doing, I think I talked about it before, but I was working in the workout space. So now for gyms, I think, was it Gold's Gym or Lifetime Fitness, or one of them was going bankrupt recently, but they were more of an online, like, if you're trying to buy dumbbells or something like that, I'm pretty sure that everyone's still waiting for Amazon to deliver them in August.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you're waiting out for, or
and
treadmills,
whoever owns them and doesn't want that stuff can make money right now.
Yeah. So, if you want to go make some money, go hit up some garage sales and whatnot, and then sell that stuff on eBay and Amazon and somewhere else.
Oh, it's crazy.
But yeah, there's certain industries that are just, completely bonkers. And when I was doing the audit, they were actually seeing a ridiculous spike. And I had to ask him, I was like, is this normal? Like, what is going on? And it was just, rankings had been the same and everything. It's just everyone suddenly wanted that compared to other, so there might be, and it'd also be interesting, Matt, in long term, certain purchases that people buy, you have to, the buying cycle is not even a month or a couple days. it's months or years.
Yeah.
So for like an MRI or large equipment for, even agencies, when you're planning out your head count and you're planning that stuff out, how many desks do you need? How much office space do we need? Well, we need office space now. All of that kind of stuff, it's really hard to plan. And I think for some companies, not knowing where things are going to be and what's going to be open in a month. And, like you said, for some agencies and some companies, if you support the travel industry, or if you support a different industry that is, really taking a hit, it's hard to plan. It's hard to understand what's going to go on. So you're probably going to affect other people.
Well, think about all the different factors too. Like, you made me think of something. For example, I have a friend that owns a lodge resort, whatever you want to call it, in Alaska that we go to every year. And they were able to open up, and they had like a makeshift June schedule, but they were supposed to be opened up for whoever wanted to travel in July. And then Alaska goes and sets some rules for like quarantine, or like you have to have a mandatory coronavirus test before they let you enter or something like that. Well, then there's some people that book those trips that are like, well, I don't want to do that. Like, and so I'm going to cancel. Like, I don't want to have to be forced to do this or wear a mask or whatever it might be. But there's not just the normal factors that we've been dealing with. And there's like that kind of stuff that's on top of it. That's different between state to state and industry to industry and different types of tourism. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, it's interesting to see how that's different or changes.
Yeah. Well, Chicago just passed something that says if you're coming from one of these hotspots, you have to spend
Arizona.
2 weeks. Probably. Yeah. Which, if you're a hotel in downtown Chicago, you're probably like, oh, sweet. Now you have to stay here for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I kept thinking about, like Hawaii, when they're doing the mandatory 14-day. I'm like, all those resorts are like, sweet, come visit.
Oh, darn. I will hate to go to Hawaii for 2 weeks plus.
Yeah.
Just saying, if someone wants to send me to Hawaii for 2 weeks.
Go ahead and send us.
It's a long flight, though. At least from here it is.
Yeah. Not as
yeah,
bad from
here. It's just all over. And I actually, rarely do we do this, but I already know the next podcast that's going to be on after this, and we're going to be talking about digital shelf space. To which Matt's like, what? I haven't really explained what that is. I don't know. I won't get into it, but it's...
We'll get into it soon enough.
I won't say I coined it, but I just don't hear it a lot. But I think depending on your business and what you do, start taking a look at what you can and look at your data. But the problem with that is going to be, it's really hard. And I usually tell people not to look week over week, but you almost have to in this case, because looking at year over year, it's so not the same. Like, normally it's a good indicator, because like we had July 4th or, Mother's Day and Father's Day, and all this other stuff going on. People's habits change, and some people are not home, or they're actually have been taking some vacations the last week or so, it seems, based on everything I've seen on Facebook and Twitter. But,
I'd be really curious, when you're talking about looking at that data year over year, like, I'd be interested to see, like, for example, like pizza delivery, like, was there a huge increase in that for like all the local delivery spots? Or was it the same? Or was it average? You know what I mean?
Well, and one of my clients, despite COVID, is still up 5 times traffic year over year.
Wow.
But we're actually down from before. So, looking at year over year, it looks good. But if we look at where we really should be by a month or so ago, so, when we start talking about the State of the Union, and, you said it, and it's probably going to stick, and I apologize to you and everyone else, because we actually might call it that. But start looking at your data and look at it a little bit differently than you normally do. Like, what are conversions? How much traffic is down on the site? Foot traffic is down in the store. Your average order might be up or it might be down. But look more day to day, week to week than you normally would. Instead of, year over year, and go, wow, this time last year we were really crushing it because blah, 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 blah. everything is, and I hate to say everything has changed, but everyone's habits right now are different.
Well, yeah.
And how they're going to interact with you, depending on what you are, is going to be different.
And pay attention to that in terms of like the simple things. For example, like I'm glad that you said that, because it made me think of, for example, one of these that I've been dealing with. I ask them all the time, like, well, what's the percentage of people that are actually coming in and dining in versus takeout? Because you're allowed to come in and dine in with social distancing still in this certain place. And they said it's still about 70% takeout to 30% that are wanting to dine in. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, if I have only about 30% of the customers coming in that want to dine in, then I'm going to still be focusing on my like marketing efforts, or if I am doing those mailers or anything online, my social posts, whatever it might be, I'm going to be catering to those people that are still taking out, because that seems to be what they're wanting to do right now. Now, when that flips, like down the road, and let's say it's 70-30 the other way, then I might start to think about, okay, well, I'm going to start making my focus more on helping them have that better in dining experience, so to speak, or whatnot. And so I think you have to pay attention to stuff like that as well, Dave.
And I get an email newsletter from this one place that the wife and I really wish we lived closer to again. Really good food, really good pizza and stuff. They torment the two of us because we still refuse to get off their email list.
Pizza.
Oh, they have really good chicken parm too. And like, there was a thing recently where they offered it was like buy one, get one half off or something. I was like, oh, but they changed one of their pizza deals. Normally it's like half off pizza on Tuesdays, but it requires you to have a drink. They actually have changed it up a little bit for carry out, and they're offering some modified version of that just for that day on Tuesdays. It's something about pizza on Tuesdays.
Well, so, I'm trying to compete with Taco Tuesday.
Good luck. But you can have Taco Tuesday on a Wednesday or a Monday.
Or any day.
Really? Yeah, any day is a good taco day.
If it's you and me, any day.
True. But yeah, they have, because of what you were just saying, people still want that offer. People, like, if you were ever go in there on a Tuesday, everyone's getting pizza. So for them to keep that volume and that day going, they've just modified that offer, and it's actually changed on the website. It's changed in the emails and what they send out. So, they're just rolling with this, crap.
Well, I will say a couple other things I've noticed, and just to give hinters, pointers, whatever, to anyone else that might be listening to this that might need these little bit of help. This would be kind of my final thoughts on this too, Dave. But I have noticed that when these guys are more social, when they're posting more to their social media, whatever, having Instagram stories, doing live broadcasts, sharing deals, sharing new, like for example, this one place introduced a new sandwich on their menu, and it's what customers have been asking for forever. And I know that they mentioned it, and so like I remember reading through the comments, and they're like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this forever, and we're going to come in today." And so like those that have been more active on social, those that have done contests, like I know that like their biggest interactions have been when they've had these contests, and they're offering something free that literally cost them probably $1, but yet they're getting all this interaction, and people are like, "I'm coming in for that." Like a lot of people are like, "Man, you put that on there, and I hope I win it, but I'm going to come in and get it tonight anyway because like you made me want it." And so it's just like stuff like that. I would say just keep it in the forefront. Do your best to interact with your community. Do your best to just do everything you can to stick through it. Like pay attention to all the stuff that Dave and I just talked about. Pay attention to those kind of things and adjust and do what you need. And, hopefully you're going to survive. And Dave and I would love to hear any other stories or anything that's been unique or different from what we've shared or what we've seen or these experiences. Would love to hear comments in the, or would love to have comments like, sharing us industries that you've seen that have been really well, or interesting things that you've learned or anything like that. We'd love to hear about it and share with us, and feel more than free to reach out to us, whether it's on Twitter, social, Instagram, comments on the blog, whatever. So any final thoughts there, Dave, before we wrap up?
If you didn't or you forgot about our episode, I don't know how many was ago now. 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, where we talked about community and building it.
About a
that
month
would
ago.
be, or just read the transcript or give it a quick listen at 2x speed. But go just for the quick reminder of, you should always be building that community. And I know this will shock you, but there was a brewery, local, that I really love. And they did something, they did it for one type of beer for Father's Day, where it was $20 off a case, which is like ridiculous for a craft beer place to do that. They did it again like a week ago. And so I was like, well, I really don't need more beer, but
when it's $20
off of that, it basically was way too cheap for me not to go and get some.
Yeah. Perfect example. That's what I'm saying. And
you know how I saw it? I saw it on Facebook and I saw it on Instagram.
There you go. What I was just saying. So.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate everyone listening to us. As always, if you have the opportunity, go to Google Play or iTunes or any of the favorite places that you use to listen to us and go give us a 5-star rating. We appreciate that. And as always, for Dave Rohr with Northside Metrics, I'm Matt Siltula with Avalanche Media. And thanks for joining us, guys. Bye.
Thanks.